All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to ESL 30 NC ESL 39. Today, we are going to get started and get started on our very final unit of the semester, which is amazing. I have my two dogs in the background. Hi, Nova. Hi, Pepper. And they're going to make sure that everything I'm telling you is completely 100% accurate today. So these are my teaching assistants. All right. So we are going to pull up my PowerPoint. Perfect. All right, you guys, oops, spoilers. So today we are going to be going through Unit 12. I know that we're jumping around a little bit, but Unit 12 is a unit on quality of life and happiness. So we are using our Reading Explorer book number 4, just like we did for Unit 3. So now we are on Unit 12. So everybody should have their Reading Explorer 4. The agenda for today is to go over and go through an introduction of Unit 12, which is called Quality of Life. We're going to go through some vocabulary words, then we're going to do a reading comprehension and vocabulary practice. Sorry, you guys, I had to pause to sneeze. I feel like every time I try to make these videos, I end up sneezing. So I don't know what's happening here. My apologies. I just have some allergies going on, I guess. So let me start over here. Our agenda for today is to do a little bit of an introduction to Unit 12, which is called Quality of Life. We're going to go through the vocabulary words, very similar to what we did last week. Then we're going to go through the reading comprehension and vocab practice. So Unit 12, the overarching theme is quality of life. However, for Unit 12A, the topic is the Kingdom of Happiness, Bhutan's Great Experiment. It is such a cool reading, you guys. I'm so excited that you guys are reading it. So I just love this idea of Bhutan. This is a picture. How incredible, right? I am obsessed with this. I want to go. I want to live there. I've never been to Bhutan. I don't know if any of you guys have. If you don't know where Bhutan is, it's kind of below Nepal into the southwestern area of China. So yeah, it's just a smaller country down there. Absolutely beautiful. So we are going to talk a little bit about the reading in a second. We're just going to jump right in and do the vocabulary words first, though. All right, so let's go through the vocab. Our first vocabulary word is assemble, which is a verb. So assemble means to collect things or gather people into one place. If you have heard the word assembly, this means gathering a bunch of people together. Like a school assembly means to get all the teachers and students together. Assemble means to collect things or gather people into one place. Another meaning for this word could be to put together, and we can look at the example sentences I created. So assemble is a verb. The synonym is to put together or to gather. The antonym is disassemble. So the first sentence is, it took me 3 hours to assemble the furniture from IKEA. Please tell me you guys have had experience with this as well. And this means it took me 3 hours to put together the furniture that I got from IKEA. So this can fall under the put together or collect things or gather things. The second example is we assembled, there we go. We assembled outside the class to practice our project before class started. So this means get a group of people together for a purpose. The photo that you can see is of a march. So people get together to march, to protest something. So they assemble together to make their voices and their points heard. Our second vocabulary word is sacred. This is not secret, it is sacred. Sacred is an adjective. It means something holy or very special. Now, traditionally, sacred is a religious word. We use sacred when we talk about beliefs or traditions or rituals. But nowadays, since people are becoming less and less religious, it is taken a quality, just kind of something as very special. So let's look at these sentences. The rituals of the Buddhist monks are sacred. It means they are holy. This necklace, and this is true, this little necklace I have on right now was my great-grandmother's. It is very sacred to me. Now you can just say it is very sacred, or you can add that prepositional phrase to me. And this photo is just to represent a few different religions, and yeah, to represent something as being holy. For Christians, the Bible is holy. For Muslims, it's the Quran. So we can say that the Quran and the Bible are sacred. Okay, this third vocabulary word is exploit, which is a verb, which means to take advantage of something or someone. There's a lot of different definitions for this word exploit, but it basically means to use something for your own advantage. Now let's look at the examples to kind of make that clearer. Oh, you know what? Sorry about this, you guys. Let's go back. For sacred, a synonym would be holy or special. An antonym would be normal, ordinary. Okay, so for exploit, we are getting ahead of ourselves. The sentence, as I said, the definition is to take advantage of something or someone, and it's a verb. The sentences are, she exploited his kindness by asking for a ride to school every day. She exploited his kindness, which means took advantage of his kindness. So maybe he offered to drive her to school one day, and then she asked him to drive her to school every day. This means to exploit, to use something to your own advantage. And it's usually a negative word, you guys. I would say most of the time. The second one, humans have been exploiting the rainforest for decades. So that's what this photo is. It's us just destroying the rainforest for our own advantage. So exploit means to take advantage of something or someone. And an antonym, so take advantage could be the synonym or the synonym phrase. And the antonym could be to offer help or to help something. Because we're thinking of exploit as a negative phrase here, a negative word. So if I'm going to use something for my own advantage, the opposite is to help someone. This next word is designate, which is a verb, and it means to choose or assign. So the first sentence, my group was designated to go first. The second one, I was the designated driver. And in that sentence, designated is an adjective, but I was the designated driver last night, so I did not drink alcohol. And the photo here is of someone picking up one person. So they are choosing, they're designating this person to do something. So when I ask somebody to do something in class, if I said, Raquel, can you please read the first 5 sentences, I am designating her to be the reader. I am choosing, I am picking. So a synonym could be to choose, an antonym could be to volunteer. All right, so this next slide, the word is booming, which is an adjective, not a verb. So please don't use the verb boom. That's not what it's also an interjection, like boom, but we're talking about booming as the adjective, and this means to grow rapidly. A sentence is, a booming economy is good for everyone. Another sentence is, my sales were booming until the pandemic. So booming means growing rapidly, increasing rapidly. And we usually talk about this in terms of business and the economy, sales. So if you hear this word in the news, that's a positive. It's not a negative. You might think it's a negative because it sounds like bomb or something like that. But to boom is not the verb here. It's booming, which is an adjective. Our next word is democracy, which is a noun. The adjective form here is democratic. Democracy is a noun. And democracy is a type of government where the people vote, okay, as you can see with this picture. So the United States is a democratic country because the citizens vote for those in power. So democratic here is used as an adjective, or it's the adjective form of democracy. Many countries have chosen democracy over monarchy. If we think about the French Revolution, that's exactly what happened. There's been a lot of revolutions in the American Revolution as well, where countries have decided to be democratic because the people have an equal voice. So there's not really a direct antonym for democracy. There is monarchy, which means that you are ruled by a king or queen. There's a royal family. There is dictatorship, right? There's oligarchy. So there's lots of different types of governments. I'm not going to ask you for the synonym or antonym for this. Okay. Does this picture make you feel hungry? Probably not, right? Because there's a minimal amount of food on that plate. It looks like one almond. So minimal is an adjective. It means very small in size or amount. I had a minimal amount of work to do on Saturday morning. Means I didn't really have much to do on Saturday morning. The second sentence, the damage the flood caused was minimal, thank goodness. The damage the flood caused was minimal. So you could say something is minimal, like this is or this was minimal. Or you could say a minimal amount of something. The synonym for minimal is small. The antonym is huge, large, enormous. Okay, so this next word is compatible. It is an adjective and it means works well together. So over the last 7 weeks, I've learned that my husband and I are very compatible. I knew this beforehand, but we've never just spent 7 weeks at home together 24/7. So how about you guys? The second sentence is the charger is not compatible with my phone. So if you have an iPhone charger and your friend has an Android, the iPhone charger does not work with the Android, so it is not compatible. Compatible is an adjective. The synonym is works well. The antonym is incompatible. Oh, such a beautiful picture. This next word is rural, which is an adjective. This means countryside. I would like to live in a rural area when I'm older so that I can have horses. This is true. San Diego is not a rural place. It's an urban one. So you can see this. This means countryside. And for us who struggle with this pronunciation, just practice, right? No, and then the L sound with the tongue is at the end. So rural, 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 rural. Okay, I think this is our last word, and it's erode. Erode is a verb, and it means to gradually destroy something by natural forces. Natural forces means wind, water, fire, this kind of thing, but usually just wind and water. So the wind and sea have eroded Torrey Pines cliffs. So this is not a picture of Torrey Pines, but it's pretty similar. And you can see all this erosion happening. You can see the different layers, and the wind and the water have slowly eroded this over time. The second sentence, living next to the ocean means the land your house is on may be eroded over time. Yeah, so I don't know if you've seen any of those beautiful photos of the houses in La Jolla, and they're stunning. And you think to yourself, wow, this is a mansion. But then you think, this is very close to the ocean. And although that's amazing, over time, what's going to happen to that land? This is how I justify not having a mansion in La Jolla. All right, you guys. So we've gone through our 10 vocabulary words. So at this point, take a second and read through Unit 12A. After you're done reading through, please complete the reading and vocabulary pages. Sorry about that. The reading and vocab pages on page 120, 192 and 193. So we are here. We are going to start with our reading right here on page 189, and then you're going to complete the exercises. Okay, so pause the video, go ahead and do the readings, and come back, and I will go over the answers with you guys. Perfect. Okay, So at this point, you have already read Unit 12A and you have completed the reading and vocabulary exercises. So we're about to go through the answers. If you have not completed this, please pause the video and go back and complete it. So here's the reading comprehension. We are on page 192. So the first question is, excuse me, what point does the author wish to illustrate through the opening scene of monks watching the boy dance? The answer is D, because Bhutan is a country where the modern and the traditional mix. And I loved this opening scene. I thought that it was so clear how they're talking about this young monk dancing to Shakira. I love this. So for my Colombian students, are you so proud that Shakira made it through to Bhutan? It's pretty amazing. So yeah, so they're just painting us a picture of how the traditional and the modern are mixing. For question 2, on line 55, what did the king mean when he said, "We paid a heavy price"? Now this is a phrase we use in English a lot to mean something specific. And for here, it says the policy of isolation had painful consequences. And to pay a heavy price usually means death or near death, or to pay the final price is death. But here, they're just playing with each other. But here they're talking about how Bhutan suffered from chronic poverty, illiteracy, infant mortality rates. Oh my goodness. So they were struggling. For number 3, which of these events occurred last? It was A, Bhutan's first democratic government was set up. And oh my gosh, I was amazed by this, because this has got to be one of the only kings in the whole world that willingly gave up his power for the betterment of his citizens for democracy. I was incredibly, incredibly impressed. It was just, yeah, that doesn't really happen like that, does that? So good for him. Number 4, what do Karma Jingmei's tales from the modern world illustrate? Now, I've had students kind of struggle with this question before, and I do think that possibly there are 2 answers. The answer I would go with is A, that he has a rich imagination. But it's true that he's never seen an airplane before. But since they give 2 examples of, like, the first time he saw a TV, he thought the wrestlers would jump out of the screen. And then the first time he saw a plane, he thought it was a fish. Since there's 2 examples here, I think we have to go with the more general answer, because if it's only about a plane, it only applies to the second example. Does that make sense? Okay, for number 5, what is the main idea of the 9th paragraph? So it's A, movies are an aspect of modernization that can benefit Bhutanese society, not threaten it. And so remember, they're talking about how they're able to express and share their culture through movies. And so that is connecting them with the outside world and allowing people to understand what's happening in Bhutan. So that's actually a positive. Okay, so now we're on B. True or false? Number 1, Lost Horizon is a very popular novel in Bhutan. The answer is not given. We don't know the answer here. They never talked about it. They talked about Lost Horizon, but they did not talk about whether it was actually in Bhutan. It just talks about how the book exists. Number 2, Bhutan's poor economy is preventing the nation's development. This is false because of the verb is. This means that it is currently preventing the nation's development. But the answer here should have been was, because we're talking about how, really, they're talking about like 2 decades ago. Where is this? Yeah, so I'm on line, not 2 decades ago, longer than that. So I'm on line 57, where they're talking about how everything was before 1960. And then in 1960, they really started opening things up, and then it started improving. Number 3, the answer is false. We've already talked about this. They did not have to remove their king. The king decided on his own that he was going to step down. That's on line 57. Number 4, The Cup is a movie about monks who love soccer. The answer is true, and I love that, and I want to watch this movie now. And then number 5, more young people are leaving Bhutan more than ever before. It's not given. We don't know that. We can probably assume that since nobody left it before, and possibly now people are leaving, but it's not explicitly stated in the reading. Yeah. I love that one of the girls changed her name to Britney after Britney Spears. I think I mean, I love that, but that makes me sad too. Okay, so if you have any questions about this, please send me a message on Canvas or send me an email. We're going to move into the vocab. All right, so now we're on page 193 and we're going to go through the vocabulary. So I'm just going to read this through. In 2006, Bhutan chose democracy as its system of government, believing that its inherent, we should know that word, freedom is the most sacred, is the most compatible, I was looking at B, most compatible with the GNH, gross national happiness, approach to the development. In 1960, Bhutan had no public school system. Today, it has schools at all levels and in all areas, both in cities and towns and in rural areas. Bhutan has been able to exploit the power of its mountain rivers to produce electricity, much of which is sold to neighboring India, whose economy is booming. Bhutan protects its natural environment. The government has designated large areas of the forests as protected areas. They hope to keep 68% of the country covered in forests. That's just amazing. I love that. Of course, not every person in Bhutan is happy. Recently, reports of violence among young people have been increasing. However, Bhutan is being as careful as possible to make sure the negative effects of internationalizations are minimal. Okay. B. To come together in a group is assemble. Believed to be holy and to have a special connection with God is sacred. To develop resources or raw materials and use them for commercial activities is exploit. We talked about exploit as more of a general meaning in the PowerPoint, but this is the meaning for this specific unit. I will probably test you on the general meaning. Working well together or existing together successfully is compatible. Gradually weaken or lose value is erode. In the country, away from cities or large towns is rural. Having increased economic activity is booming. And then select and set aside for a particular purpose is designate. Okay, so we have completed Unit 12A. We have done the readings, we have explained, we've gone through the vocabulary, we've talked about the reading comprehension as well as the vocab practice. That's pretty great. So you guys, the next, can you see Pepper? Her face is so cute, I can't stand it. So the next video is going to be about Unit 12B, and this is our last unit. So yay, congratulations you guys, we're almost done. Thanks so much for being here. Okay, bye-bye.